What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another price guide for vintage Star Wars figures. This time we're going to look at mostly loose and complete figures. Lots of really good deals out there. There were some really cool items that sold, and some of the prices were pretty good. Some of them were a little bit scratching my head as to why they're so high, and maybe some of you can fill me in on those prices. But as always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up to get all of my videos 24 hours early. Thank you so much to the Patreon team for allowing this channel to be what it is today. Let's dig into some awesome items. This seller, Villains, great eBay name by the way, Villains, had this pretty nice looking early bird mailer kit, but the baggies were already opened. So I want to show that if I can find the photo of it real quick. So you can see here, all the baggies were opened, but the figures looked really nice, clean condition. And this is the early bird mail away kit. So originally when Star Wars was released, there were no toys on shelves. And so they gave a certificate to folks and they said, hey, mail this in, and when the figures are done, we'll mail you this early bird kit that includes a Luke Skywalker, either a double telescoping or a non-telescoping saber. This one is the non-telescoping saber, I believe. Let me double check. Let's see here. Single telescoping Luke is included in this one. The dark blue dome R2-D2, Princess Leia, and Chewbacca, and it included all the paperwork as well. Let's see if we can find that photo again from where the seller showed it. So you can see all the certificate, all the paperwork is there. Pretty cool to see that set. I don't know how you could get this graded. I think CAS does grade this set as open baggies if you wanted to. I don't know if it makes sense to do that, but that's what you could do if you wanted to. Or if you just wanted to have this in your collection and display it in like a Ian's Displays or GW acrylic kind of case, that's another option as well. But that didn't stop the price from being too low. It was pretty incredible despite the baggies being opened. It also included all the little pegs for the figures, as you can see right here. Let's see right here. Yeah, you can see all the little pegs inside that baggie there. But all the baggies were open, unfortunately. But the price was pretty incredible. $4,800 on 39 bids, $22.95 shipping was the final sales price on that. But that is a great display piece. Again, I don't think you really need to get this kind of graded or anything like that, but it would be really cool to have that as part of your collection. Just one of the very earliest possible Star Wars action figure items you could possibly get, and the price reflected that. Now, graded with sealed baggies and with a double telescoping saber Luke, you know, these prices can be anywhere from, I'd say, $11,000 to $15,000 in high grade. So $4,800 seems probably about right, in my opinion. Pretty cool item, though. Same seller also had this one, the short V variant for the Power Droid. This is kind of one of those new hot variants that people are always going nuts about. And what's the short V referring to? It's referring to the little groove. The grooved V here is a little bit shorter in terms of height and doesn't go down nearly as far to the white strip as the standard Power Droid. And so these short Vs are kind of becoming a new thing with some collectors. I know that AFA recently started labeling them as the short V, and I know UKG has been doing that for a while now. I assume CAS also does that. This one was ungraded, probably in, I'd say, 75 or 80 grade condition, and that one sold for $104.50. I believe we're going to have, in a loose graded market update, an AFA graded example to talk about. I think it was an AFA 85 from that same seller that I've talked about here recently. So be on the lookout for that. We'll see what that one sold for. I think it sold for over $300 if memory serves me, but I'll double check that before I make the video. Next up was a painted helmet Taiwan Boba Fett. And this one obviously had quite a bit of wear to the chest, as you can see. Lots of paint wear and chipping and things like that. And again, we've got another one that was an AFA 85 example that CIB, which is affiliated with AFA, they sold one of those AFA 85. It sold for big money, crazy money. This one, of course, was not nearly as nice, probably like in 70 grade condition at best, if not a little bit lower than that. But quite a bit of wear on the front and the back of the figure, as well as on the belt. And that one sold for $255.50 plus $695 shipping. Again, in high grade, these can command, you know, $1,100 to anywhere to as high as $1,500. I think earlier in 2022, there was an AFA 85 example that sold for $1,900. This is a loose graded Boba Fett painted helmet Taiwan, and I think it sold for around $1,900. So prices have come back down clearly since then, but even for this one that was in pretty rough shape, it still sold for $255. Same seller also had this Awing palette, looked to be in pretty clean condition overall. You can see the silver paint wear on the chest area is usually the first thing to look for paint wear. The hands also can be messed up. This one, it was in very, very clean condition, probably easily an 80 plus or an 85 grade condition. And that one sold for $145.50. I'm assuming that weapon is not repro. I don't know that for a fact, but you know, it's always hard for me to tell some of those weapons. I don't know them nearly as well as I probably should, but I'm sure that some of the guys over at 5 Idiots Talking Toys could look at that photo immediately and tell you if it's fake or not. But $145.50 took that one home. The same seller also had a number of really nice baggies that sold. The first one is an SWD Death Star Droid baggie. Pretty clean condition overall. This has got the Made in Hong Kong in black letters. The SWA baggie has the Hong Kong written in white letters, which is like my Boss mail-away baggie that I recently got graded and returned from CAS. But this is the SWD baggie. That one sold for $305 plus $695 shipping. He also had this one, the Han Solo and Bespin in a heat-sealed baggie with the blue Made in Hong Kong text. That one sold for $255. Which seemed a little bit on the higher end of the range for me, but not nearly as high as some of these other baggies that he had. This one is a Return of the Jedi. I believe it's the H or the J baggie. I can't remember. I think it's the J baggie for Obi-Wan Kenobi. This one has, it looks like the white hair. It might be the light gray hair. Hard to tell by those photos, but the baggie was fully sealed. That one sold for $317 plus $695 shipping. The IG-88 came back a little bit high, but I've been made aware from Chris W. over at Rogue 5 Toys that the IG-88 baggie is very, very pricey. It's not cheap at all. This one did have a small tear that did not break the seal, as you can see in the lower right-hand corner, but great-looking baggie. The text was in great shape. That one sold for $368. I was expecting like $175 max, but Chris told me after the fact that this is probably about right, and he's seen as high as $500 for high-grade IG-88 baggies. He and I were both surprised by this one. This one was the Snow Trooper Made in Hong Kong blue text baggie, heat-sealed. This one sold for $610. That's a big, big number, but that took us both by surprise. That was a lot higher than I expected for that Hoth Stormtrooper baggie, but further proof that it just depends on the baggie. There's so many different categories, A, B, C, D, in terms of rarity, and clearly this is one of the more rare ones given that price point. Next up was another baggie. This was the Zuckus mail-away baggie. This one's not particularly expensive. It says Made in China with the Kenner logo on there. This one you can find for about $80, and that's what this one sold for. Free shipping. Anywhere from $75 to $85 is about the going rate for that Zuckus baggie. Next up, this is an interesting one. This is an R5D4 with the red bar. So you can see that red bar on the left-hand side, that rectangle is filled in with the orange. That's a pretty desirable variant. Obviously, the sticker is pretty tatty, pretty messed up. The paint on the legs and on the head were in pretty good shape overall. This is the 1978 Hong Kong, same as mine, except in lower grade. But this is probably what, like maybe a 40 or 50 grade. But that's still got a sales price of $255 on 25 bids plus $449 shipping. So even in very low grade, these red bar R5D4s continue to command pretty good money. In high grade, you can pay anywhere from $600 to $800 easily, if not above that. Already graded, loose graded, they can go for over $1,000 very, very easily. Next up, this is another interesting variant. This was not complete. But I wanted to show it because this is one I'd like to pick up this year, and that's the molded legs variant of Han Solo in his Hoth gear. And so this is one that a couple of you have talked about in the past, but instead of painted legs, which can be painted in either light tan paint or dark brown paint, this one has legs that are actually molded in brown plastic. And this is a tougher to find variant. You don't see this one pop up very much. There were some wear to the hands on this one. A little bit of wear to the goggles on his head there, some wear to the scarf, probably like 75 grade. This one was listed for $99.99, $5.99 shipping, and the best offer that was accepted was $65. But this is a very tough variant to find, so be on the lookout for it. It's always tough to tell, but it's always kind of a very light beige plastic instead of painted legs for that Hong Kong COO Han Solo in his Hoth gear. So that's a very cool variant, tough to find. High grade, you can pay $200 to $300 if it's graded, but this one sold for $65. It was incomplete. It did not include his DL44 blaster pistol. This seller down in Australia had a number of really nice loose diecasts. This X-Wing was in fantastic condition. Just some very, very light edge wear and paint to it. But overall, this was one of the cleaner ones I've seen in a long time. The lasers on the actual foils are nice and straight. Sometimes they can tend to droop or kind of bend. But this one looked almost, pack fresh. Gorgeous example. And the price reflected that. That sold for $104 US or 154.50 Australian dollars plus shipping. He also had this gorgeous Millennium Falcon diecast. This one was flawless. Look how clean this thing was. I mean, I only saw maybe one or two light paint chips, some very, very light dusting that it needed, some cleaning to it. But this one looked to be about as mint as you can get. Look how clean the paint is on the back of this thing. Really, really nice condition. Again, you probably just need to get like a toothbrush or something to kind of clean off some of the dust and things like that from displaying it. But great condition. This one sold for $96 and change, which equates to about 142.50 Australian dollars. And then finally, he also had this Imperial Cruiser that was advertised as mint, and it included the packaging for it, although the packaging was open. The diecast itself was in great shape. Beautiful condition overall. Just looks like maybe some very light edge wear on the very back of the diecast, but very, very clean example. And this one sold for 265 Australian dollars or about 179 US dollars. And who was the idiot that paid this price? I can say that because that idiot was me. I was the one who bought this. Now, I want to clarify that I know that this was an overpay, but it did include the Tantive 4 kind of plug-in piece on the bottom that fits inside that Imperial Cruiser. And I have been looking for one of these for over a year now in really clean condition. I found one on eBay that was loose and ungraded. And at the time I didn't have any money. It was like $75 or so. And I sent it to Chris W. He bought it. He got it graded and it came back with an 85 plus loose graded with CAS. So I paid over double what he paid for his that I found for him. So you're welcome, Chris, on that one. But I think this one will probably at least get an 85. We'll see. I'm going to get this in from Australia probably in the next 2 weeks or so. And it's going to go straight to CAS for loose grading. I've been wanting the Imperial Cruiser diecast for a very long time. So we'll see what it comes back. I'm guessing it'll get at least an 85 though. It's in really clean condition. Very tough to find this one without a lot of edge wear around the triangle edges and a lot of the paint. I mean, that paint is flawless on that one. But if I don't get an 85 on that, I'm going to be really mad because I really think it's an 85, especially because I overpaid for it. I paid way too much for it, but I put in like a final bid on my sniping software, and it was like a nuclear bid. I was like, I'm just going to throw in a huge bid, and I barely won it. So clearly I was not the only one who really wanted this thing. And I've got another diecast checked off the list now, and hopefully sometime in about a year or so, we'll get it back from CAS and see what kind of grade it got. A couple of you have asked about the ATL Interceptor. I don't remember who it was, but somebody asked, what's it go for loose and complete? And I said it was roughly $150 or so. And I got a couple of examples that either support or completely destroy my argument. But this one sold, it was advertised as complete. This is from the Droids line, the ATL Interceptor. Very strange looking vehicle. It almost looks like a Buck Rogers vehicle or like a Battlestar Galactica type of toy. Very, very strange vehicle, but that one sold at auction for $153.27 plus $12 shipping. So that one supports the argument, but almost at the exact same time, this one sold for $300. So what do I know? The price point is anywhere from $150 to $300 with free shipping. So that's a huge price range, but that just shows you that it's really hard to price these. But one of them was in an auction. This one sold. This is probably closer to market value, given that this one sold in an auction on 14 bids on January 2nd for $153, and this one was a buy it now situation that sold for $300. So I don't know. To answer your question about what this is worth, I have no idea because the price points are all over the place. Next up, we've got the Sears Cantina Adventure playset. This is just the cardboard backdrop, but it included all the pegs, and I wanted to show it just because you don't see these come up very often in an auction. That one sold for $251 and change plus $12 shipping. Pretty cool looking cardboard backdrop there. It's got the sand trooper, excuse me, along with what looks like some aliens inside the cantina. But pretty cool looking display piece there for $251. Next up was the Ewok Village Action Playset, 100% complete with the box. It was obviously already open and loose, but it was advertised as complete. That one sold for $250 plus $51 shipping. And then this one was also complete, advertised as complete anyway. It did not include the box. And that one sold for $150 plus $23 shipping. I've had a couple of you ask about the value of the Ewok playset, so that gives you a rough idea of the value of that one, depending on whether it included the paperwork, box, insert, things like that. Finally, we had a chicken walker, the AT-ST from 1982. This one was advertised as complete in pretty good condition, and that one sold for $100 plus $17 shipping. So another data point there. I always love the AT-ST. It's just kind of a cool looking vehicle and certainly does look like a chicken when it's walking around. So anyway, that's all I really had for this video. Thank you so much for watching it, and I'll be back soon.